Welcome back, everybody. It's another episode of the Two Big Guys in Grover podcast, our conversation series during this crazy coronavirus. And it's time to welcome an Aussie, Kyle Hamilton with us, the number 3 ranked bull rider in the PRCA, the guy that was, he's won a lot of U.S. dollars so far this year.
It's been a great year for him.
So, Kai, how are you doing today?
Good, thank you. How are you guys?
We're good. How are you enjoying this big trip to the States, and then we make you stay inside and not go to any rodeos?
Yeah, it's not quite as planned, but I guess there's not a whole lot I can do about it, so I just got to roll with it and I guess just try and stay busy somehow.
Well, you had a good winter. You're number 3 in the world. You won a little over $50,000. I don't know if you've ever heard of this guy, Sage Kimsey, but he's number 1. I don't know if you know him. Have you heard about him?
Yeah, I've heard of him.
You were giving him a run for the money there for a little bit, and right now everybody, of course, is in lockdown, but we're excited to see everybody break out of their jail and get to go ride bulls again.
So
yeah, that's for sure.
So, Kai, where are you staying right now?
At the moment, I'm in Bowie, Texas, at Cody Lambert's house. Now that college has been cancelled, I'm doing it all online, and so there's not much point for me being down in Alpine, Texas, where I go to college. So I'm up here. I got plenty to do while I get my schoolwork done.
Okay. Are you able to get on bulls, or what do you do? How do you spend your time?
Yeah, on Tuesday, JW Hart brought some bulls over for me to get on, and other than that, now that the gym's closed, I just been working out here at the house, and then through the day we've been building fence and that along the arena for Cody, and doing other things like mowing grass and just doing something to stay busy.
Being the farmhand, right?
Who would have ever thought that? Who would have ever thought that Cody Lambert's place would become this daycare for
bull riders,
for rough stock riders? I would have never thought that in a million years. But
I think it started with Stetson, right?
Yeah, I mean Stetson Lawrence hung out there,
and
then
been a handful of guys even prior to that.
There were some guys before that, and Kai, we were talking off the air that Tim O'Connell, Mason Clements, some bareback riders have been there.
He started with Jess.
Yeah, Lockwood. Yeah. Lockwood was the first, seemed of the Lambert daycare system. But it's a pretty good place to hang out, though, isn't it?
Yeah, it is for sure. There's a lot of great people around here, and a lot to learn here, and everyone keeps you on your toes. So yeah, it's a great place to be.
Because you guys don't just buck bulls. You guys, I mean, they buck a lot of horses too.
Yeah, we've bucked horses here before, and every now and again we might buck like futurity bulls with dummies and stuff, or they're always team roping nearly every week here too. So I mean, there's a lot going on.
So for not bull riders who are maybe listening, or bull rider families or stock contractors, kind of explain the value. Explain, you talk about you're fencing and you're doing all the chores and mowing and spraying. What is the value for you to be there with, we know, but kind of explain it in your words. I mean, you're at Cody Lambert's place and you have Cody's ear, right? So talk about kind of what that means to you.
It's words can't really describe it. I guess I grew up hearing about Cody as a kid, watching old bull riding tapes and Tough and Lane and all them guys. And now to be here with Cody, it's sort of like, I can't really believe this is happening, but it's great. I've learned so much off Cody, and I still got a lot to learn from him. And even though we're working through the day doing farm stuff and that, he still always brings up something to do with bull riding and how to be better and that sort of thing. So I guess it's good to always have someone with the same mindset as you, wanting to win, in your ear all the time. It makes you want to be better every day. So
because Cody's pretty competitive, right? I mean, he wants to be the best.
Yeah.
He expects people around him to want to be the best, right?
Yeah. Yeah, that's for sure. If you're not willing to put in the work and want to be good, I don't think you'd want to stay around here.
So Ky, how old are you, and how long have you been over here in the States?
I turned 20 in February this year, and I first come to the States in 2015 for the junior high school finals in Des Moines, Iowa. I come for 2 weeks. My mum and dad brought me over, and then in 2017 I come for a month. They brought me over again, and I done the youth bull riding world finals in Abilene, Texas, as well as done a few amateur rodeos and stuff. And I got offered a scholarship from CJ Aragon and to come to Odessa College at the end of 2018. So July, I think it was July 2018, I come over here and I done them youth bull riding finals again. And then I started pro rodeoing also at the end of 2018. And I've been here since.
So it's kind of nice to have it. Going back on Cody's place, it's nice to have a place to go, because even though in the grand scheme of things, I don't think the U.S. and Australia are that different, but there are still some differences, and you're away from all your family. I mean, it's not like you can just jump in the truck, drive a couple hours to see mom and dad. It doesn't work that way. So it's nice to have that home base place that you can go and feel comfortable.
Yeah, that's for sure. I was very lucky enough to get to know Cody and Leanne, and have a place that I can go if I ever need to, or need people to help me out with something. I've been very lucky to meet such great people, not only here at Cody's, but a lot of other people in the rodeo world that I've got to know through people I already knew. So it's definitely made it a lot easier having so many more contacts and people that can help me out.
Ky, who did you jump in and start pro rodeoing with? Who you been traveling with?
Last year when I was on my permit and at the end of 2018, I was just going by myself most of the time. But this year on my card, Colton Fritzlin, I got to know him pretty well. He goes to college in Snyder, Texas. So we college rodeoed together and got to know each other that way. And he's a very competitive guy. So we hit it off, and we've been entering together and going pretty well everywhere together this year. So.
Will you, now that there's no college rodeo college rodeo's been canceled the rest of the year. So now as your focus, you're going to switch gears and make a run for the NFR. Is that your goal, or is it both PBR World Finals and NFR? I mean, what is it? What did you set out for this year to be some goals for you?
This year it was mainly the NFR one. That's always something I wanted to do, and I wanted to do it before I went hard into the PBR. So that was definitely the goal this year, and just sticking with that one. I'm not very good at having multiple. I like to just get focused on one and make sure I get it done. So that's what I set out for this year.
So does that mean that where does the PBR fit in your future?
It's definitely there for sure. Not very far down the track at all. I entered a couple of velocities and touring pros last year, and as well as this year. So at the moment I'm just making a living, so I'm just entering everywhere. Main focus is the PRCA, of course, but I've entered a few PBR touring pros and velocities earlier this year, and so I'm still willing to do them, and next year definitely I'll probably do a lot more of them.
So rewind a little bit. Let's go back to the YBR. Think about back in 2017, right? At that point, when you were having the experience to come over to America to compete over here with, the youth bull, the YBR finals is pretty cool, isn't it? For if you're a youth bull rider,
Yeah.
It's a pretty dang cool thing. So you have that, 350, 400 people, 400 riders just crammed into that one Coliseum for 4 days. So I just want to take you back. At that point, did you see yourself getting the opportunity before you were offered? I know after you were offered a scholarship. Was that your goal? Kind of what was your mindset then, and what were you thinking? if you knew that a couple years later you would be where you're at with the opportunities. Is that realistic that you were thinking that back then?
I it's funny you say that. I always had that sort of a plan. I didn't know quite how I was going to do it, but when the opportunity arose to go to college, I took it on board, and I thought, this will give me a lot of opportunity to go further into the pros, and I'm sure glad I took it, and it has opened a lot of doors. So thinking back then, it's been a little rougher than I thought it was gonna be, but I mean it's all working out now. So I guess that's just how it is. You go with the ups and downs, and it's sure going up now. So that's all that matters.
How how many guys from Australia are you aware of that are over here kind of doing this, doing the college
Uh,
thing or hanging on?
There's there's been guys, Cody Heffernan, Brady Gray, they've gone through college and then into the pros. I of course they're a bit older than me, so they done it a few years ago. But right now, I don't know of too many other guys. I know Jake Finley, the saddle bronc rider, he's done it. And I know there's a few other guys from Australia over here that ride broncs that are doing that. But I don't know them that well. But I guess to see other guys like you're saying, Sage Kimsey, he went through college and into the pros, and I know like Dalen Swearingen, them sort of guys, they've done it too. So I sort of thought it was a good way to get started anyway, and get my feet wet and go from there.
Yeah, those are two definitely guys that you want to follow that have stayed on that path and done very well.
Take us back to you as a kid growing up in Australia. Talk talk a little bit about that. Your family, your heroes. How did you get started in this crazy business?
Uh, I I was always sort of brought up around it. My dad's side of the family, they all rodeo and have ranches back in Australia, and a lot of my relatives rodeo. Uh, so it always interested me, but it wasn't until I was 12. I was watching PBR bull ridings on TV, and I was wanting to do it pretty bad, and my dad was turning me off, but he didn't really want me to do it. And then I guess one day I just cracked it at him, and he finally let me. And I'd go stay with my auntie and uncle down. They lived about 3 hours away from me. I'd go spend the holidays with them and ride horses and get to rodeo. Because where I grew up, there wasn't a whole lot of it around close by. So I was lucky enough to go down there and spend time with them. And I guess I always looked up to my dad because he was sort of the one that got me into it. And then along came Troy Dunn as I got older, and he's someone that I've always looked up to. So uh, I guess having them two people driving you, it really helped.
Well, speaking of Troy Dunn, he chose you to be a part of Team Australia for the PBR's Global Cup. I know that was a big moment.
Yeah, the first time was in 2018 when they had it in Australia, and that was a big eye opener for me. That was pretty exciting. And then for him to ask me again this year, uh, once again I was excited for it, and to have a guy like that have faith in you, to know that you can bring it to the table, that makes you feel pretty good about yourself and makes you want to be better because a guy like him backs you all the way. So it's it's pretty cool.
Kai, I know you mentioned your dad. What name some of the other guys in Australia that at 12 years old when you started riding. I know you look at the PBR riders and all that kind of stuff, but who locally were the guys that kind of helped you get there? I know you talked about your dad finally giving you the okay to kind of pursue it, but beyond that, who was that?
Uh, Justin and Mitchell Payton, they were two guys that a lot older than me, but they only lived about an hour from me, and my dad knew them growing up. They were sort of family friends and stuff, and I looked up to Justin and Mitch a lot. And they had practice bulls for me to get on. I don't know how many times they bucked bulls for me, but they done it a lot. And I really looked up to them two guys, and they did whatever they could to help me out. So big thank you goes out to them guys, because if it wasn't for them, I probably wouldn't be where I am now, or it would have taken a lot longer. So yeah, them two guys really helped me out a lot.
Cool.
What do you do outside of this? I mean, I know you're over here to ride bulls, and that's college, but what's something fun that you enjoy now that you're over here that you didn't get to do over there?
I don't know. I'm kind of a homebody. I really don't do anything else other than ride bulls. That's sort of, I love it so much. That's all I really do. But I guess just being a cowboy and doing cowboy things like riding horses and roping and that sort of stuff, I really enjoy doing that. So anything to do with rodeo or horses or cowboy stuff, that's what I enjoy doing.
What's been the biggest change in the U.S. compared to Australia?
Definitely the driving, I'd say.
Yeah.
The being on the other side of the road, that took a bit of getting used to, but I mean, I'm used to it now. And the other thing, actually, like I guess in the summertime now that it's starting to get warmer, the daylight till like 8:30, nearly 9 o'clock at night. At home, it'd get dark at summertime at 7 o'clock, and it'd be pitch black. So you go inside at 8 o'clock, and you still feel like you should be outside doing something because it's bright daylight.
You get a lot more done this time of year, I'll tell you that.
That's for sure.
So what about when you were back home? I know we were talking. Cody asked about the differences, or Scott. What did you do at home besides bull riding growing up? I know at 12 you decided to bull ride. Did you play soccer? Did you play any sports? What were the things you were involved with athletically that kind of led you there?
I started off racing motocross when I was 8 years old. I was into motorbikes a fair bit. Me and my brother, we raced motocross for a few years. From the time I was 8 till up till I turned 12 was when I quit racing motocross and went to steer riding and stuff like that. And I also played rugby league when I was in high school. So that was another thing that we used to do a fair bit of, play rugby league. And other than that, we really just raced motocross and played football and then that sort of led into the rodeo scene.
So stepping back to what you said earlier with your dad at 12 finally relinquished and said, "Okay, you can ride bulls." So seriously, you're racing motocross, and it was a decision, and finally let you to bull ride. Isn't motocross dangerous too?
Yeah, I guess so. Maybe he just realized all the traveling involved in the rodeo. He wasn't ready to do all that.
Because you have to travel over there quite a bit, right? In Australia, there's an extensive amount of traveling to get to events, right?
Yeah, it's a lot more spread out. So we done quite a bit of traveling back home, and I think that might have been the main reason behind
it. Being over here, are you hearing much about this coronavirus in Australia and how it's affecting your home country?
Yeah, I've spoke to Mum and Dad quite a bit about it, and Mum's not working at the moment. Dad still is, but it's not as bad as it is here, but they've started shutting everything down at home, and I guess they're trying to keep it at bay, and they got the same sort of restrictions as over here in Texas. So they're seeing a lot of the same kind of stuff too.
Well, and you guys just came off of huge wildfires over there in Australia. Did that affect any of your family?
No, they were all pretty lucky. They got a little bit of rain before all that hit, so they were pretty lucky. And then they also live further north of where all the big fires were, so they got off pretty lucky and didn't get any damage from it.
So I got a question for you. So you came over 2015, and and the reason I ask this is because Scott and I, our veterinarian that we use every day is actually from Australia, and I think you know Aaron.
And was a great bull rider.
I think you maybe know Aaron Brisbane because I think you maybe junior high rodeoed with Anna, but when Aaron first came over back in the early '90s, he came over and John Luthi brought him over to be same path that you're on. I mean, he came over to college rodeo first, but Aaron, when he came over, the bulls were so different here than they were there. And so when he made because we had a lot more bigger beef bulls, and he always talks about how they were thinner, more loose skin, different animals. Has the bull changed? I mean, was there a big change in bulls for you to come over now, 30 years later, or have the bulls kind of gotten to be about the same?
I think it was a big change for me. Like even now, it's still kind of different, and I'm slowly getting used to it. But like at home, we got some good bulls, but I guess there's just not as many. Like everywhere you go over here, nearly you're getting on a good one. And if you stump your toe, they're gonna throw you off. Whether it's at home, you might stump your toe, but they'll give you a chance to recover, kind of thing. And I think over here, the bulls bark, like they bark for 8 seconds, and they're gonna keep bringing it. But at home, some of them will kind of weaken a little bit towards the end, and the size is probably a little different. We had a lot of big bulls at home, but over here, I sort of noticed they're a little bit littler, and but they all bark. But then I've come across a lot of big bulls that bark over here too. So I guess just there's a lot more people in it over here, so there's a lot more chances of drawing a good one. Whether it's at home, there's a lot less stock contractors and that, so you're only going to hit the good ones every so often, unless of course you do the PBRs. Well, at home there's a lot of good ones nearly everywhere you go. So.
How much did you look up to Lachlan and Cliff? They've kind of been the guys in this era of bull riding that really made a huge push and a huge name for themselves. You know, it was Troy, then it was Derek Clark or Brendan Clark, and then it seemed like it was the Richardson brothers.
Yeah, I didn't know them growing up, but I seen them ride on TV a lot, and I always watched Lockie a lot when he was over here riding on tour and stuff, and it really did help me out wanting to get there also, and seeing them guys do it, it definitely motivated me more to want to get there and fly that Australian flag over here. So yeah, them guys, I was lucky enough to get to know them through the Global Cups and that. I first met them in 2018, and when I started doing the PBRs in Australia, I got to know them too. So yeah, I made good friends with them guys, and they're great to be around, and they sure can ride. That's for sure.
Well, I think a couple years ago, Justin Payton, had made a run. He was over here and was having a pretty good season. I think got an injury, and that whole typical story of kind of it crushes your momentum. But it was not disappointing in him, but it was crushing to when Cliff announced his retirement. After the Global Cup.
Yeah, we weren't really expecting it, but yeah, he come in there and told us, and we were sort of a bit disheartened about it, but he's had a great career, and he'll definitely go down as one of the ones from Australia that come over here and done well, and I'm sure he'll probably still be around the bull riding a fair bit at home, so we'll still see him.
A guy that really stood out to me was Aaron Klyer. He was he's won the Australian title twice. Had no ambition at all to come to the States. Didn't want to at the first part of last season. He showed up at Cheyenne, and I remember going back to the locker room, and saying, "Hey, what bull did you get?" And he goes, "Some bull named Legit. I've never heard of him, mate. What does he do?" And I was like, "You better hang on tight. That's all I know." And then almost rides him, and then went home. Still didn't want to make that transition over here. Just didn't feel comfortable. But this year he's decided, to make the Unleash the Beast series, the Premier Series, his home, and I think he's really starting to find himself and get into the American way of life, I guess.
Yeah, it's pretty funny. We grew up rodeoing together as kids. We went to a lot of the same events when we were riding steers, and then junior bulls and into novice bulls and then open bulls. So we sort of grew up around each other riding and stuff, and it's pretty funny to see us two coming from the same place and then over here riding. And like you said, I think he's a little bit of a homebody, but he damn sure can ride. And it's good to see him over here doing well, because I think there's a lot of money for him to win over here, and I really think he can do well over here too.
I agree.
Well, and if he wins enough, he can afford to get a haircut. So that'll be a good deal for him.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. If that's his power, then let him have it. Because he's exciting to watch.
Maybe just
maybe
all he lacks is some Scooby snacks or something. I don't know what it is, but all right, man. Well, it is awesome to have you over here in the States and to have the conversation with you now, because it's been fun to see you. We get to see a lot of guys a lot, but you are just a little bit every year. So now that you're here, it's nice to have you over here. And Cris has said it for a long time. Ky can ride bulls. Just watch.
Big fans.
Now he's here, and look out. So college rodeo, I'm disappointed because I was really hoping, because you were making the college finals, weren't you?
Yes, I was, and then all of it got canceled. So it is what it is now.
That's right. But
well, if you'll keep that attitude right there, if it is what it is, you'll go a long ways in this business, I think. So thank you for taking time out of your busy morning. I know Cody probably needs you back out there cutting grass or something. So tell him hey for us, and thank you for joining us this morning.
Will do. Thank you, guys.
All right, stay safe.
And wash your hands. All right, everybody. Thank you guys for joining us again here this morning. Another great podcast here on the Two Big Guys in Grover podcast. Join us next time.